Hey there! There are places where time stands still, where every day is a fight for survival, where people are not just prisoners, they are animals locked in cages without any hope. In these places, time has stopped. Here are the world's toughest prisons and their darkest secrets. Our journey begins in the heart of America, in the state of Colorado. Here, amidst the desert landscapes, stands ADX Florence, a prison with such a high level of security that it is called Supermax. Behind its walls, time flows differently. For the inmates, it is an endless night, 23 hours a day spent in isolation. Even the smallest elements of daily life, such as opening doors or meals, are automated here. Instead of handles, electronic locks controlled remotely. Instead of a cafeteria, small openings in the cell doors through which food is served. Among the inmates at ADX Florence are America's most dangerous criminals, El Chapo, Ted Kaczynski, and Terry Nichols. Psychologists warn, prolonged isolation from the outside world leads to devastating effects on mental health. This is the price they pay for their crimes, but shouldn't punishment also be an opportunity for rehabilitation? In the eastern reaches of Europe, near the border with Kazakhstan, lies a place shrouded in infamy, the Black Dolphin prison. Black Dolphin is the toughest prison in Russia, a place where the worst of the worst are sent. Prisoners are transported in special wagons, with their eyes blindfolded and bodies bent forward, to prevent them from memorizing the route. In Black Dolphin, there is a regime of absolute silence and control. Prisoners are not allowed to talk to each other, look at the guards' faces, or even think out loud. The average sentence served here is life imprisonment. Behind the walls of Black Dolphin are serial killers, rapists, cannibals, people who have committed unimaginable crimes. In letters to their loved ones, censored by the guards, the same words appear: despair, hopelessness, longing for death. In the Russian fortress of silence, even hope is a crime. In the heart of Venezuela, amidst lush greenery, lies a place that is hard to call a prison. It is rather a hellish crucible where human life has no value, La Sabaneta. In theory, La Sabaneta was supposed to house 15,000 inmates. In practice, over 25,000 people were crammed there in inhumane conditions. Everything was lacking: beds, mattresses, and even space on the floor. Officially, the prison was guarded by 700 guards, but in reality, control of the facility belonged to gangs. Armed with pistols, machetes, and even grenades, they terrorized the weaker inmates, conducting bloody trials. At night, La Sabaneta turned into a battlefield. Gangs fought for influence, and the prison yard became an arena of brutal fights. In La Sabaneta, death was omnipresent. In 2013, the Venezuelan authorities decided to close La Sabaneta. La Sabaneta is a symbol of human degradation and the collapse of the penitentiary system. Diyarbakir, political prison in Turkey. In the heart of Anatolia, in the shadow of the Taurus Mountains, lies Diyarbakir, a city with a rich history and a tragic past. It is here, within the grim prison walls, that one of the darkest chapters in Turkey's history unfolded. Diyarbakir was not an ordinary prison. It was here, after the military coup in 1980, that political prisoners, Kurdish activists, students, intellectuals, and even children were sent. Torture was a daily occurrence in Diyarbakir. Prisoners were electrocuted, beaten with sticks, had their nails pulled out, and were scalded with boiling water. In cells designed for a few people, up to 50 prisoners were crammed. In Amnesty International's records, Diyarbakir was described as a camp of crimes without war. Diyarbakir is a place that will forever remain in the memory of Turks as a symbol of repression and human rights violations.
In the heart of Cambodia, on the banks of the Mekong, lies Kampong Cham, a city that hides a dark secret. Here, in the shadow of beautiful temples and lush nature, stands a prison that more closely resembles a concentration camp. Kampong Cham is a place where people cease to be human. Lack of medicine, food, any rules. This is the reality that prisoners have to face. Cells designed for a dozen people are overcrowded beyond measure. In a room measuring 6 by 6 meters, up to 60 people are crammed. Drinking water comes from a pipe located right next to the sewage, and skin and intestinal diseases are commonplace. Kampong Cham is a symbol of the downfall of humanity, a place where life has no value.
In the heart of Africa, in the shadow of Rwanda's green hills, lies Gitarama, a city marked by the stain of genocide. In 1994, in the shadow of the bloody conflict between Hutu and Tutsi, the prison in Gitarama became the scene of unimaginable horror. Gitarama, built for 400 prisoners, at the peak of the crisis housed over 6,000 souls. The lack of access to toilets, water, and food turned the prison into a true hell on earth. The wounded and sick, deprived of any medical care, died in agony, and their bodies, often gnawed by rats, lay in the cells for days, even weeks. Hunger and thirst drove prisoners to acts of cannibalism. Stories of people who, in an act of desperation, ate the bodies of the dead chill the blood. Gitarama is a symbol not only of the genocide in Rwanda, but also of the unimaginable suffering experienced by the prisoners. On the edge of the Syrian desert, in the heart of the ancient city of Palmyra, once stood the walls of Tadmor prison. Today, only ruins remain, but the memories of the terror that reigned within its walls still evoke horror. Tadmor was a symbol of the brutality of Hafez al-Assad's regime. This is where political opponents, dissidents, and ordinary people, often baselessly accused of conspiring against the government, were sent. In 1980, Tadmor became the site of one of the bloodiest massacres in Syria's recent history. In response to a failed assassination attempt on the president's life, security forces stormed the prison, initiating a slaughter that lasted several days. According to witness accounts, over 1,000 prisoners were killed. But Tadmor is not just the story of one massacre. It is a place where torture was a daily occurrence, and death was the only release. Tadmor is a symbol of an inhumane system of power that terrorized Syria for decades.
We leave the dark walls of the prisons, but the images we saw in them will stay with us for a long time. These are not horror movie scripts. This is a reality that still exists. The heaviest shackles are not those that bind the body, but those that bind the soul. Because otherwise we risk becoming prisoners of our own indifference. If you enjoyed this material, leave a subscription, a thumbs up, and a bell so you don't miss the next materials. Let us know in the comments what material you would like to see next. Thanks for watching. Take care. Until next time, bye.